All right, it's district breakdown time, and we are talking 5-6A with my main guy, Professor Diggs. Diggsy, 5-6A, in my eyes, it's no wonder these guys go far in the playoffs because they play a playoff district. They're so power stacked in this district. That's why Prosper could sneak in as the fourth team and go 3, 4, 5 rounds in the playoffs. And it doesn't look like it's going to change any now because Mckinney Boyd are coming up too. So talk to me about this district and what you see.
Yeah, I mean, we're feeling very patriotic as we're nearing the 4th of July and thinking of fireworks. And when I think of fireworks, I'm thinking of 5-6A because this district, as you highlighted in your open, is just incredible. I mean, you're going to spend more time looking for cutting down the highlights. I think you're just going to want me to blabber for 20 minutes just so you can get the highlights of all the star players in this district in our footage reel because it is so talented. I mean, it's almost like the SEC of high school football in this district. And one thing that I think is going to be an X factor when you look at this district is we have coaching turnover of almost over half of the district in this district now. So, I mean, and coaches have only been here 3 or 4 years are now considered the elder statesmen when you think of McKinney and Prosper because we have complete turnover. And how are the programs going to respond to their new coaches? I think you've seen it sometimes with Cedar Hill and Lancaster. Sometimes when you have that big name star coach come in and work out for a while, it's hard to fill the shoes. Even over at Euless Trinity, filling the shoes of a legend and Coach Lineweaver can be really tough. And even when you're a good coach, I mean, I'm not saying these coaches are bad coaches. I'm not saying Coach Lynn. I mean, he's an all-star coach. Anybody would want Coach Lynn. But you're looking at the former Texas Tech current Texas Tech head coach was who you were following. And obviously with Allen and Denton Geyer, legendary coaches who have left over there. And now we're going to have Lee Wigginton and Reed Heim over there at the helm, and who is going to respond, what kind of programs. And Denton Geyer, you kind of have a program builder, somebody who has been part of the program, understands what's happening over there. And Allen's just going to be, it's like he has 7 letters in Scrabble, and you don't know what you want, so you just throw them back in the bag, and you get the best you can get. And one of the best you can get in the state of Texas is Lee Wigginton, and they got that. But how will he fare at basically a program like Allen, where you have to manage the program and so many dynamics around it? That's something that it's going to be kind of an X factor, but the talent will be there across the board when you look at these teams. I'm going to pick Allen number 1. I think that's going to be a contrary pick to many. I think Denton Geyer is going to be what a lot of people, probably the morning news and some of the pundits, are going to pick as the number 1 team, especially given Jackson Arnold coming back. And Jackson Arnold is just an incredible player. But Allen, to me, just has more depth. I mean, obviously, when we talk about 7,000 students versus 2,800 students, I mean, this is the problem that Allen has. They've got 2 basically stud tight ends who are getting D1 offers. How do you keep both of them on the field? Devon Mitchell is kind of playing defensive end as well to manage that. Stephen Gorski was a undefeated, unanimous all-district player last year. Dealing with Allen is about dealing with that depth because they got 2 running backs. Devin Turner was a unanimous all-team first team all-district player last year. Now you got Kavion Sibley coming up, who's getting all kinds of D1 offers. Mike Hawkins, an incredible quarterback. You've seen the quarterbacks move out of Allen and get starting jobs pretty much immediately. That's how talented Allen is across the board. And there's something to be said for managing all of that. And can Coach Wigginton do that? He's an incredible coach. He's an incredible X's and O's coach, but that's just a completely different beast. And with Denton Geyer, I think the problem with Denton Geyer is they're really good players, are really good, but that depth, when you talk about Allen's probably got 40 deep of players that could go to any high school in the state of Texas and start just about anywhere they want. Denton Geyer's top 10 is as good as anybody's top 10 in the state of Texas. You got the Bowen twins, as you talked about, Eli and Peyton. Ryan Yates coming back. They are that good. But after that, you got some question marks for Denton Geyer. So I like Allen for that reason, just because of the depth.
Excellent. And it's interesting because Coach Wigginton is, I think we both agree, a pretty great Texas high school football coach. He did stuff in Waco. He did stuff at Heritage. But now he comes and they serve him a plate of just so many ingredients, and they actually took one ingredient away with David Hick going down to Pato. But he's going to have to try to figure out in a short amount of time, where he's going to play people and what he's going to do. But let's see what he does with good groceries, right? So
that's right.
That's going to be some interesting stuff. So let's talk about. We talked about Geyer and Allen. Let's talk about the McKinney squads, because if people aren't paying attention to Texas high school football in the offseason, McKinney, the Lions are making some noises here in the offseason, and they have some hellified players as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden you go for McKinney not really being a playoff team last year, to all of a sudden McKinney potentially being one of the best teams in the state of Texas, and that really just has to do with their talent. They got the Frisco Liberty quarterback who transferred in, and Keldrick Luster committed to SMU. A lot of people are calling Brian Jackson the best running back in the state of Texas. Obviously, when you have that 1-2 punch going on for you offensively, things are pretty good. And they got the wide receiver Xavier Philisim, who's getting all kinds of offers as well. A really good offensive lineman, Adrian McIntosh. And they had a second-team all-district player who transferred over to Mckinney Boyd, and we'll talk about them when we talk about Mckinney Boyd and Sheldon King. That's how depth they are, that, you're looking at who's over there, and you're thinking, well, am I going to get on the field? Maybe we consider moving across town, or sell all our houses high. Collin County housing values at their peak, making some business decisions, as we call it. But Prosper is really good as well. But as I was digging in, and I kind of created a run sheet of what I thought was going to happen in this district, and I put Prosper 3. I think a lot of people just kind of pencil Prosper in right below Allen and Denton Geyer. But as I was starting to delve into the players and what Prosper is coming back, and Prosper's got some good players coming back that we're going to talk about, and really delving into the talent at McKinney, I had to flip him. I had to put McKinney number 3. Maki Frazier, the really talented linebacker, coming back. Christian Ford, the really talented defensive back, coming back. For McKinney, they just got way more talent than Prosper has this year, although Prosper, I think, will benefit from the infrastructure. I think they'll have better offensive and defensive line play. And Prosper, very much like we talked about last week with Northwest ISD and Midlothian, they're just really talented on the lines. But McKinney's skill players are ridiculous, and I think they could compete with Allen and Denton Geyer this year. And I think they're going to push some teams, and I think they're going to win a game this year that we're not expecting, whether in non-district or in district. McKinney Lions are real, my friends. Coach Shavers has got them playing fantastic ball. They've been playing over their pay grade, but now that they've got the talent to match it, they're a scary team.
Maybe that'll bring a nice little crosstown rivalry like you see in Rockwall with Heath and Rockwall and Flower Mound and Marcus. Maybe we'll see a little McKinney Boyd game, a must-see game that we got to be at. So talk a little bit about Boyd and get back to Prosper, because I know Prosper bringing back their starting quarterback, Harrison Rosar, and his baseball prowess as well. So talk a little bit about both of those teams, because I'm assuming you have them battling out for 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, I've got them in no disrespect to Denton Braswell. That's how good this is. When I kind of did my mock top 25 for Inside High School Sports, I think the 6 teams in this district, and we saw it last year, I think at one point when we had a 7-team district, it was like 20-2 in non-district play, and Denton Braswell beat Saxe pretty badly, and Saxe is a top team in that district, and Denton Braswell couldn't make the playoffs, even though they're competing and beating teams like Prosper within the district. And again, I expect to see that in this district as well. McKinney Boyd, they got a new coach. Coach McBride retired. Daniel Foster, similar to what we saw over at Denton Geyer, except Coach Heim was on the defensive side of the ball. Coach Foster was on the offensive side of the ball. He will keep that program up and going. They've got Ryan Shackleton, really good tall quarterback, coming back. Jonathan Patterson, and they got Sheldon King coming over as the transfer. They got a really good offensive skill set. Joey Dixon was a top-tier lineman coming in. He's coming back for McKinney Boyd. And McKinney Boyd has always been very hard-nosed linebackers, and on the secondary, I love what a coach told me. They hit till the echo of the whistle over there at McKinney Boyd, and that's the way they play, hard-nosed kind of football. Noah Chumley at cornerback as well. So I like McKinney Boyd. I think they're going to be one of the best teams. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, but they're going to go around in non-district and beat some playoff teams. They are that talented. And I think McKinney Boyd versus Prosper for that 4th playoff spot spot. That's not a shoo-in. I just think Prosper with Harrison Rosar, Hunter Summers, and Braden Reimer coming back on the offensive side of the ball, Carson McClendon and Dylan Henshaw coming back on the defensive side of the ball, just going to give them a slight edge because of depth. But McKinney Boyd and Denton Braswell, for that matter, are talented enough to make the playoffs, and it would not surprise me at all if either of those two teams usurped Prosper for that last playoff spot.
Interesting. So that kind of leaves us with Braswell, Little Elm, and poor Rock Hill just moved up from 5A, and they get thrown right into the fire here too. So how do you feel those guys are going to run? You're saying if Braswell was in any other district, like a 7-6A, they would probably be, third team in there or something like that? But here you're looking at 6.
Yeah, Denton Braswell, I think, would make the playoffs in every district in the state of Texas except this one. Definitely in the Metroplex anyway. And they're going to struggle, and they very well may do it. Cody Moore has done some fantastic things over there. They got the quarterback coming back, Keegan Bird. They've got receivers for days, and Jerian Wallace and Jaden Brooks. I think they're a fantastic team, but again, the depth, I think they're just going to get overwhelmed by this district. But I think we're going to look at them in non-district and go, hey, I think they've got something, and they do. New coaches coming into the two teams at the bottom, what I consider tier 3 teams, Rock Hill and Little Elm. Love Joe Castillo. He did great things over at North Garland. Kind of sold high there and bought into Little Elm. Little Elm graduated a very, very heavy senior class. So there's going to be a little bit of a rebuilding project over there. Coach Castillo obviously did a great job rebuilding at North Garland. So bring him in to rebuild Little Elm, really connect with the kids. Everybody loves Coach Castillo wherever he goes. And then Mark Wilkinson understands the program, takes over internally after Coach Humble leaves over at Rock Hill. They got Kevin Sperry coming back at quarterback, Matt Wagner at tight end, Victor Chanuma at running back. I think they're a fantastic team. But again, in this district, they're going to struggle. And let's just recap it one time. Allen 1, DeGuyer 2, McKinney 3, Prosper 4, McKinney Boyd 5, Denton Braswell 6, Rock Hill 7, Little Elm 8 is my official 5-6A prognostication. And we will see you next week for 6-6A as we are headed to the home stretch, getting ready into July, getting ready for football. I can smell the AstroTurf and the field turf just cooking right now. It's great times.
I feel the little rubber treads in my shoes already. Let's go.
Let's go.